name is Benjamin Tate. Tonight I will be making challah bread with my mom, Catherine Tate. There are three basic elements to bread: water, yeast, and flour. Together, these three make a cohesive mass out of the bread.
Flour is pretty remarkable. When mixed with water, it becomes a completely different form filled with cohesiveness and liveliness. Within the flour is a gluten protein that the Chinese call the muscle flour because of the elastic-like quality. They are the largest protein molecules found in the natural world. The first step is to mix together water and sugar. The water molecules will disperse and wrap around the sugar molecules. Cooked at a medium temperature, the sugar is added to water and the water molecules are diluted by dissolved particles. Make sure that the temperature is about half the temperature of boiling water. Boiling water is at 212 and this is at 110. The warm water hydrates the yeast, and the yeast feeds off the sugar. The yeast grows, the cells grow, and produces a gas providing carbon dioxide to inflate the dough. This helps with the dough's consistency and elasticity. Yeast serves well as an oxidizing agent. Active dry yeast, which this is removed from a fermentation tank and dried into grand joules. The yeast lay dormant until you activate them or reactivate them or rehydrate them. How you rehydrate the yeast to become a living organism again is to add sugar and water. And 10 minutes is all that is really needed to make this magic. Mix together the egg, oil, and salt. Salt strengthens the gluten network, providing electricity with its positive sodium and negative chloride ions. These charged molecules repel each other and allow the proteins to come closer to each other and therefore make the bond more extensive. Oil and fats tend to weaken gluten proteins. Matter of fact, fats and water are chemically antagonistic. Fat, however, serves to maintain the water content of a cell. Eggs start out liquefied. When heat is added, they harden. Protein molecules bond. They help with the consistency of bread and help thicken the recipe. Then, combine yeast with oil mixture to create a wet component. Now it's time to add the flour, adding a cup at a time. Here's where the magic happens. With most batters, you don't want to overmix or overdevelop a gluten. But with this particular recipe, gluten development needs to be used and you need to mix in order to make that happen. Mixing and kneading the dough is probably the most important moment in the making of this recipe. If not executed correctly, the dough is sticky and just a massive lump. The spring or elasticity is missing. Kneading the flour with water mixture helps stretch and organize the gluten protein molecules. This action helps align the protein molecules, and the loops and kinks of these coil-like molecules strengthens the dough by straightening out their loops and kinks, and then the pressure relief, the molecules tend to revert back to the original key shape. The type of bread desired is oftentimes described by the particular treatment of the dough at this point. A well-defined gluten development is needed in order to assure malleability of the dough. Once the flour is completely kneaded and all the ingredients are mixed together and form a cohesive ball, it is time to place it in a bowl cover with a wet towel and let sit for an hour. This particular time allows the carbon dioxide, which was created by the yeast and sugar compounds, to expand the original air pockets in the flour. After an hour, the dough should be doubled in size. If need be, you can let it sit longer, then carefully remove it to a board and punch it back. This second kneading allows for finer gluten structure. It results in a smaller crumb and prevents large gaping holes in your bread. Then what you need to do is cut the dough into several pieces and braid them like hair. Once braided, let the dough sit for another 30 minutes. This allows the remaining carbon dioxide from the yeast to rise again, and it should be about half the time of the first rising stage. Once the dough has risen a second time, crack open an egg, scramble it, and then use a brush to paint and cover the top of the dough. This can be considered using the egg as a cooking color of the bread crust. Place in the oven, preheated at 350 degrees for 45 minutes or until the sound is hollowed. The egg mixture on top or the egg covering helps to keep moisture or the water inside the bread from evaporating. After 45 minutes in the oven, the environment of the hot gas flame has created a solid, beautiful substance to share with others.